Howdy heckin' hello, and welcome to the Insomnia Café. I'm here with Julia.
I'm here with Iris.
We're in a fort.
We are. We've built a little fort for sound dampening purposes.
Yes. And happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. This is our first episode.
Ooh, inauguration. That's a weird word.
How long have we been trying to start this?
We've been talking about it.
We've been talking about it.
We've been talking about it for at least 4 months.
Hey, that's a pretty good time.
But since we put in motion, like, we're going to start this, it took us like a week to really, like, do everything.
That's
if you
true.
think about it. So, we're just built different. I don't know.
I guess.
I don't know, maybe starting your own podcast isn't that hard. Maybe that's why every actor has
one. That's why everyone has one.
But, yeah.
What are we drinking in the cafe this evening?
This evening, the cafe special is Saint's Blood, which we'll post the little recipe on the gram, but TLDR version, it's hibiscus tea, cranberry and peach juice, and cut up strawberries.
It's very
served
good.
Chilled. Yeah, it's pretty nice. It's pretty good. Came out of my little noggin.
It also smells really good, too.
It's also, like, the color of, like, blood.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not as thick. Because, I mean, I don't think that would have been... I think if we had a really thick punch, it would be really strange.
Just make it using Jell-O.
Yeah. I thought about boiling the strawberries, to be honest. Because that's how you make, like strawberry sauce.
Ooh.
But then I was like, that might be a little too extra.
That's fair.
For, like, something we're going to drink while we, like...
Well,
talk
no one
into
can
mics
see us.
And, like, coat our throats and be like...
It turns into an ASMR podcast.
Yeah, like a really nasty crunchy ASMR. Slimy ASMR.
Yum.
But, yeah. That's literally the tea on that.
It's the tea on the tea.
But yeah, today we're gonna talk about some saints.
We are.
Specifically our good buddy Saint Valentine. And then maybe some other ones.
With some interesting life experiences.
Death experiences, life experiences, holidays. Maybe coming up with some new ones for everyone to celebrate back at home. Maybe some better ones.
I have one in mind for one of the ones that I researched.
I gave some options. We'll get some. We'll get some options.
I'm excited. Also, we know the saints that each of us has researched, but we don't really know further than the names and, like, maybe a little bit about some of it because we found it from a primary article, and all of the links will be in the description.
Yes.
But I don't know what you're about to tell me.
Also, we're going to be talking about people who died predominantly, I'm pretty sure, hundreds of years ago, all of them, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't mean to be insensitive. I can't speak for you, Julia. Maybe you need to be insensitive. I don't mean to be insensitive about anyone that I'm about to talk about. Some of this stuff is just a little... You gotta poke fun at it. You gotta laugh or you'll cry, right? You know? So we can make some little jokes.
Also, mild content warning. There's going to be detailed depictions of death. Depictions? Conversations.
Yeah.
Description is the word I was trying to say.
We're going to paint with our words. But yeah.
We are storytellers.
Yeah, we're going to talk about some saintly deaths. Yeah. Let's get into it, shall we?
Let's get into it. Tell me about Saint Valentine.
All right. The reason for the season, but Valentine edition. So let's talk about Saint Valentine, because there was like 12 of them. Shocker.
Oh.
Saint Valentine, we all know him as the patron saint of lovers, but also he's the patron saint of epilepsy and beekeeping. And I have no further context for that. Other than the beekeeping thing comes from saints are charged with the duty of coming back to, like, the mortal realm and, like, overseeing things. Well, maybe not coming back to the mortal realm. Also, Catholics, please don't come for me in the comments, okay? I read a lot of Catholic literature for this, but I still could be paraphrasing things in a little bit of a silly goose way. But they're charged with, like, coming and overseeing certain, like, mortal things.
Okay.
And for some reason, Saint Valentine is charged with overseeing beekeeping.
Interesting. I do love bees.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool thing. I don't know why epilepsy, but there's a lot of saints who oversee epilepsy.
Really?
Yeah, like, the other two saints that I'll talk about, I think both also had epilepsy listed, but it was, like, later down in their, like, patronage. I listed, like, the top 3 for mine. Because,
I aim for, like, top 3, top 4.
Because some of them I'm like, okay, yeah, that's cool, we get it. Like, it falls under here.
Yeah.
But yeah, so lovers, epilepsy, and beekeeping. As I said, there was like a dozen of them. One of them was a woman. Her name was Valentina. Okay.
Nice.
And she died being a virgin. That was like her thing. She was gonna die chaste and pure. And then there was also a pope, but he only served for like 50 days because it was like hard out there for popes during the time.
What happened to him?
I could not find it, but I'll get to like the Valentine. I don't think you want to be a Saint Valentine.
I mean, so far it doesn't sound like it's ended
not
well.
The move. So the reason there's so many Saint Valentines is because in Rome, the name Valentinus, or basically what we would call Valentine now, translates to like strong, powerful, worthy. So a lot of them took on that name as like, it was super common.
Oh, okay.
So then the ones that ended up being sainted, which also maybe we should get this out of the way. To be sainted, you have to be a martyr for your faith. So all of these people are gonna die.
Yeah.
So to be all these people who died had a very common name. So the one that the holiday is most likely based off of is probably actually one of two different men, but both of them were murdered by the same guy.
Oh.
And he's got a really baller name. His name was Claudius II Gothicus.
That is a baller name.
So I'm going to refer to him as Claude the Goth from now on.
I like the abbreviation.
So Claude the Goth was peeved for him marrying both of these dudes who were murdered. In the lore, was peeved that he was marrying Christian couples in secret. And I'll get to that more later when I talk about the holiday. But both of them were beheaded by the same guy, pretty close together. Neither of them could have been actually like arrested for marrying people. It may have just been that they were Christian, because I'll get to later in like the holiday lore that Saint Valentine was not associated with love at all until like the 1300s, and he died in like 270.
Yeah.
One of the Valentines was said to have been captured, like one of these two men, by Claude the Goth and put into a household with an aristocrat for imprisonment. And then the aristocrat was like, yo, if you can heal my daughter's blindness, I will convert to Christianity. And he held his hand over her eyes, and what do you know? She was healed.
Really?
Miracles. And yeah, she was healed. And so then this aristocrat was like, shoot, I gotta convert to Christianity now. And so he converted.
I got really scared there for a second. I was
too.
like, oh
when
no.
I was reading it, I was like, there's no way.
Yeah.
She's blind. What, you gonna hold your hand? He held his hand over her eyes and he was like, you are a child of God and you will see the light, blah, something along those lines. And she was like, I can see now. And so the guy's whole family converted to Christianity.
Wow.
And this comes back up later, but because this happened, Claude was like, kill them all. And so he had them all executed, but guess what? Only Saint Valentine was beheaded. So maybe don't be a Valentine. Because literally of like the 12 that I could like find, at least 4 or 5 of them were beheaded. Probably more.
Good grief. People really like chopping people's heads off.
Yeah.
Did they like use swords? Like
I
Game of Thrones style?
I could not find, but most of them it sounds like a pretty clean job, so I'm assuming they're not like Mary Queen of Scots up in this business hacking away for a few
Theon
minutes.
trying to behead somebody.
Oh gosh.
Just taking several swings.
Oh no. Yeah, no Jon Snow up in here. They're precision.
No.
Okay, but because there's so much like dodgy info on the Saint Valentine, they actually took him off the list of liturgical veneration in 1969. So he's not actually like a recognized like prayed to saint really anymore. Like he's just kind of like a symbol. He doesn't really like, he's not part of the Catholic Church. He's
I didn't know you could get demoted from
you
sainthood.
can get demoted, and it's because they don't really know like if it's real or not.
That's a bummer.
I know. I would feel a little peeved if I was Saint Valentine and I'm up there doing my duties of overseeing the beekeepers and the epileptics.
And they're just like, we fired you. And he's like, I have all of these bees.
But like, what if he's on like permanent vacation now though? He just gets to enjoy like heaven now.
That sounds like a better deal.
Yeah, maybe it's a good thing that Saint Valentine got demoted.
You get demoted and then you don't have to clock back into work anymore.
Yeah. Speaking on something interesting, because they don't know who he was, right?
Right.
But you can go see his head.
What?
They have no idea who this man was, if he was even real, but you can go see St. Valentine's head.
Wait.
At the in Rome, at the Basilica of Santa Maria in Cosmedine, Rome. And the head was discovered in the early 1800s in a catacomb. I'm assuming in Rome, but maybe it was somewhere else. And they decided it was St. Valentine's head because it was...
My dumbass was about to ask about dental records.
Check his dental records. Could you go into the database and see if he's got like a fingerprint or something?
Oh my... I
DNA test that motherfucker.
So it's either St. Valentine's head or just,
it could just be a random
person's head.
Or like... I mean, I'm
it's
assuming
Bentham's
they like...
head.
Yeah, Bentham's head. No, but they found it in a catacomb with a lot of other possessions that are assumed to be associated with Valentine. And so they were like, oh, this gotta be him.
Conclusion.
Yeah, so like at least it's like slightly logical. But yeah, that's like the actual facts on the person or persons, the folk, the Valentine folk. Yeah.
I really want to like see his head. We should put pictures up.
It's cool. It's like just a little skull in like a box
Yeah.
with, I believe, like rose petals. It's kind of pretty.
I love that.
Like if my head was preserved in a box full of rose petals in like a really pretty church, I would be. That's cool. You can do that. That's me putting that out into the universe right now. That is okay with me.
I think it'd be kind of cool if somebody like turned my like the major bones of my body that are like my rib cage and my skull, like if it was like in a garden and like flowers were growing out of it, I'd be down with that. The rest of me, like throw in the ocean or something, help the coral reefs.
Feed it to the dogs. No, but well, okay. There's an interesting point here though. So like a lot of saints they have a lot of saints' bodies in places like shown, and they are supposed to not decay or decay slower than the average person.
Okay,
but he's just like a skull. So like, is that because he got demoted in 1969? Is that because he died in like 270? Which I'll get to the specific
go with
death.
the 270
Yes.
guess.
Okay. Debate in the comments, you know? Is it the demotion? Is it the time? I don't know. Okay, so now we know that like the person, we are acquainted with Valentine. How the heck did this holiday happen, right? Other than capitalism.
Yeah.
Had to start somewhere. So one of the most popular legends is that St. Valentine was marrying Christian couples during the reign of Claude the Goth, Claudius II Gothicus, in 270, which made him so mad. And some people say this was because he was marrying specifically like soldiers that were in his army, and he didn't want them to get distracted by having a waff.
This is the Roman Empire, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
He didn't want them to get distracted by having waff.
There's a very consistent theme of soldiers being converted, and that's what's pissing a lot of people off.
That, and so he was like, yeah, I don't want my dudes having wives. Or some people say it's just the fact that he was Christian and marrying people. Not really decided on that. And then so Claude came to him and was like, hey, renounce Christ, renounce Christianity, and quit marrying people. And Valentine was like, heck no, dude. So Valentine was put into jail, and like I said earlier, like possibly with an aristocrat, to await his execution, because then they were like, okay, we're gonna kill you now. So they put him in holding. And then like the day before he was supposed to be executed or something like that, he gives the jailer's daughter, which is supposedly the girl he cured her sight, he gives her a note that's like, hey, it was cool hanging out with you. Glad your sight's back. Love the Lord. Jesus is our savior. And signed it with, from your Valentine. And that's apparently supposedly how, like, Valentine's cards and stuff got started, and, like, exchanging of Valentines. And then the reason that it happens on February 14th, supposedly, is because that was the day that they separated his head from his body.
Okay.
And so they were like, oh, yeah, let's put it on the day that he died. I just think that's really interesting that, like, I'm of two minds, because, like, in some ways I'm like, okay, cool, like, celebration of life. But also, like, a lot of these are, like, really... like
real gruesome.
Morbid, gruesome deaths, and it's like, I don't know, man. Maybe like
also the fact that the depictions of the saints, which I didn't know this until we started researching this, that the depictions of the saints are how they died.
Yeah, like they'll be like, well, we can probably put some pictures up on Instagram, but like them holding their head. Put some links in
the description.
Just a knife in their noggin or something. Yeah.
I got a really cool statue that I'll talk about at the end of the podcast.
Ooh.
I'm a fan of the art.
I love this. But back to Valentine's Day. So the holiday was celebrated as a lovers' festival in the 14th century, and this is linked actually to English poet Geoffrey Chaucer. Geoffrey Chaucer, who may have created the Valentine's Day vibe by writing a poem in his work Parliament of Fowls in 1375, which basically said...
What a title.
Yeah, I know. But it basically said... there was like a rhyming line, but I couldn't find the exact line earlier, but it was like, this is Saint Valentine's Day, and it's the day that birds, he like used birds as a metaphor for humans, choose a mate. And like saying it was on Saint Valentine's Day, it was on February 14th. So like, honestly, Valentine may not have even died on like February 14th.
Uh-huh.
May not have been associated with love. May not have had anything, and Chaucer was just like, I'm making it so. And
yeah.
It was. But also could have actually happened. We don't know. Because a lot of oral tradition was passed down, so maybe Chaucer heard this tale of, like, he was marrying people on February 14th, and so he wrote the poem because of it. But also, because there are so many St. Valentines, you can actually celebrate Valentine's Day, like, throughout the year. Like, because there's different holidays. I didn't write down the specific dates, but, like, there are different ones in the Russian Orthodox Church. There's different ones in... other subsections of Catholicism.
Dude, hell yeah.
Yeah, and then also, this concept of the holiday may not have even come from, like, Valentine. Mm-hmm. Chaucer could have been interpreting another holiday that's a pagan holiday, or this could have just been, like, the oral tradition of the pagan holiday kept alive in kind of, like, a secret way. And the holiday was, forgive me for this pronunciation, Lupercalia? And it was...
I believe that's very close, if not it.
Something like that, Lupercalia. And it's a pagan holiday of purification, health, and fertility. And it was kind of a violent holiday, but also, like, a lot of people said it was also kind of cool and fun. Basically, the purification was, like, we're going to make the city pure so that we'll all be healthier, we'll have better babies, but also, like, I'm going to look at that woman and get married to her because I saw her, and we're going to streak through the city.
I remember, like, we talked about this a tiny bit.
Yeah, it was, like, it's a really interesting holiday, and it happened on February 15th.
Okay.
So, connections there. And, like, we could go really deep into, like, the way that Valentine's Day has evolved, like, tradition-wise, but I just think the entire concept of, like, this person died on this day, and we're gonna throw a little party, a big old party in their honor, and do some weird stuff. I think that's, like, really the main thing I wanted to touch on, so... Yeah, that's St. Valentine. That's when you're eating your little Be Mine candy hearts. Just remember that there's...
the delicious chalk dust.
Yeah.
I like that there's just multiple Valentines throughout the year.
That you can celebrate. Like, I think two of them are in, like, one's in, like, June and one's in July. One's in, like, earlier in January. One's in... You could, like, literally go year-round just celebrating Valentine's Day.
Because I know some couples are, like, really into it.
Yeah.
Which I think is cute. And, like, if you want to do it throughout the year, you can. Like, just, just research the day and then have another day for yourself and your partner. I personally
just, like, love the idea, like, even if it's not true, love the idea that this, like, guy was just marrying people in secret. Because, like, in a lot of the lore that's, like, supposedly about that, he was just, like, really passionate about, like, love. And that's so sweet. That's so sweet. Even though he probably was just a guy that was Christian, and that's why he got executed. Nothing to do with... Yeah, he got head separated. But yeah, basically, that's St. Valentine. That's why we're out here eating chocolates and kissing.
All right, I'm going to talk about St. Sebastian.
Ooh.
Sebastian is a patron saint of archers, athletes, and those who would like to die a saintly death.
What does that even mean?
I don't know.
Like, does that mean... I got a guy in here later that I'll talk about that was really, quote-unquote, eager to die for his religion. Is it like that? Like, I want to die for my religion because saints are martyrs, right?
I was interpreting that as either, you want to die for what you believe in or die in a way that people respect you.
Yeah. Okay. Or, like, maybe, like, a pure death? Like you die a pure person?
Like, I can't imagine it's like, I just want a really weird, gruesome death.
Yeah, wow.
I feel like that's not it.
Yeah.
If you could pick a weird, gruesome death, though...
Ooh.
What would it be?
The problem is I don't want it to be, like, super painful. But, like, a lot of the painful ones are really interesting. Okay, I'm going to talk about something really obscure and really painful.
Okay.
Blood eagle.
I was literally thinking that!
Okay, we're on the same page. Blood eagle, really intense, right? Really painful.
Yeah.
If you don't know what a blood eagle is, it's basically where, like, they cut down your back, and then they go in and they pull your rib cage around through your little back flesh, and then they pull your lungs around a little bit.
Yeah.
You're alive during it, and it's really painful, and you look kind of like an eagle. They also depicted it to a degree in Midsummer, that movie. But it's also rumored that they may not have even done that. That might have been
it might have
like
been a scare tactic.
A scare tactic
to keep people from. You know what's funny though? It's not funny, but one of my gaming friends.
Yeah.
He had a nightmare, like a bad nightmare one night, and like all of us, like within our gaming group, like he was basically like in like this building type situation, and all of us were like being executed differently in a bunch of different rooms.
Yeah.
And mine was a blood eagle.
Oh gosh.
And it took me forever to get. I was like, just tell me what happened, and he's like, it was really bad, and I'm like, it's okay though.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you talk about it, it won't
feel better.
continue to haunt you. And he was like, it was a blood eagle. And I was like, what is that? And then he described it, and I was like, oh my, are you okay?
There's like some scientific drawings of
this
it
was a
from like
long time
medieval
ago.
times, and they are wild.
Yeah.
If, not a blood eagle, I think it might be cool, like I know you haven't seen Midsummer, but, and spoiler alert for those who, well, not really. I'm not telling you who it is. But at the end, there's like a scene with someone basically like not being able to move and like being burned.
Oh.
But, like, it kind of seems calming. Like, in a weird way. The way they show it, I'm like, I don't know that would be, like, the worst thing. Like, if I have to go out in, like, a really horrible... If I have to pick a horrible death, maybe that one's less horrible. Maybe it's less horrible than a blood eagle.
Okay, but back to Saint Sebastian.
Yes.
He was later venerated. Okay, so, patron saint of archers, athletes, and those who like to die a saintly death. And then later, he was venerated as a patron saint of plague victims, specifically during the time of the bubonic plague.
Nice.
Which I thought was interesting, considering the current plague.
Oh, okay, metal.
And I was like, because I was thinking, let's see, I'm going to skip ahead in my notes a little bit. He does have a feast day. It's either January 20th for the Roman Catholic Church or the 18th of December for the Orthodox Church.
Ooh.
But it would be kind of cool if there was something like... if the pandemic ever ends where
we have a feast.
We do something in his honor, and any other like figure or deity
sickness,
that's like like thank you.
That'd be cool. I mess with that. Like, yeah, plague though specifically. Woof.
Yeah, the bubonic plague.
Woof. Wait. Did he die before that hit?
He died before it. Yes.
Did
it
was like,
something that he was venerated for later.
Did they say like why they just added plague on there?
I couldn't find specifically why, but to be fair, I wasn't looking at like scholarly articles. I was looking at more of a general rundown. Wow, my train of thought just completely derailed. But Saint Sebastian was an interesting guy. He was a bit of a double agent.
Oh.
He was said to be from Gaul, but he left and joined the Roman army. He held his position in the army so well that he later became a captain under Diocletian. Diocletian was the emperor of Rome from 284 to 305 CE. And it should be noted that the unit that he was in, specifically of the Roman Guard, was the Praetorian Guards, which is used in Star Wars.
Interesting.
Because I read that and I was like, wait a minute, the people who are protecting Snoke? Yep. And as we learned from Star Wars, these were in fact elite guards very high up in the system and were the personal bodyguards of the emperors. But unlike the guards in Star Wars, the Praetorian Guard during the time of the Roman Empire assassinated 13 emperors.
Oh my goodness.
It's like,
was he involved in any of these assassinations?
He was not, no.
Well, lame. Lame, Sebastian.
No, he did some other stuff that pissed off Diocletian. So Diocletian, I did a little bit of research into him. He was an effective leader and brought a lot of stability and efficiency to the Roman Empire, but he was also responsible for the last major persecution of Christians in the empire and tortured and executed a great deal of those who would not convert.
Oh. That's kind of rude.
Yeah, I did note that it's an interesting cycle, though, that tends to happen with religious power, of there being sort of a stable period and then the persecution of other peoples, and then the peoples who were persecuted sort of come into power, and then there is a stable period.
Stop
and
the cycle of abuse.
Yeah. So Diocletian found out that Sebastian was secretly converting a lot of his Roman soldiers to Christianity. And he ordered him to be executed. Saint Sebastian was, as he has been depicted in Renaissance paintings, most likely affixed or tied to a tree and was shot full of arrows.
That's kind of baller.
So what happened was the archers just kind of left him for dead.
Oh, no, that's not baller. I thought they, like, finished him.
Oh, no, they just left him for dead.
Oh, no.
And a woman found him.
Oh, okay.
And nursed him back to health.
Hot.
And some sources have identified the woman as Saint Irene. She was a Christian widow and later became a saint. I didn't really look into her too much.
Yeah.
And then, with his newfound luck of surviving his execution, he decided to face Diocletian. So he quite literally waltzed into the well, I'm assuming it was in the palace. I don't know. He waltzed up to him somewhere. Like, he got face to face with Diocletian again.
None. Diocletian.
He was like, I used to be a Praetorian Guard. I know how to get in there.
That's true.
He went to face Diocletian, and then Diocletian was like, okay, beat him to death in front of me.
Dang.
So he was beaten to death, and then his body was thrown into the sewer system of Rome.
Oh, no, not the sewer.
Yeah. And then his body was found by another woman.
What is a woman doing down in the sewers?
So that's a good question. So this is what happened. She had a dream that St. Sebastian wanted her to bury him close to the catacombs. So she went and looked for his body and then found him and was like, this is what I dreamed.
I think this woman watched. I think she watched him get beat to death, and she watched him get through in the sewers.
She was like, I'll take him.
She was like, that's mine. Scurry, scurry.
Scurry, scurry.
That's our little... Women who walk through the sewers, I'm sorry, we scurry.
Was it you? Was this your past life?
My past life.
You were like, I need to bury him in the catacombs.
That's why I know so well. I watched.
So he was buried, his remains were buried close to the catacombs. They're believed to be in the Basilica of St. Sebastiano on the Appian Way. I forgot how to look up how to say that. St. Peter and St. Paul were also believed to have been stored there temporarily before being moved to their final resting place.
Wow.
Which I thought was interesting. And like I sort of sat there for a while and was like, what would the process have been of storing a body temporarily? And then like what % of decay did they get to before they were like, we need to move them to their permanent grave? Because catacombs is, like cavern type. So they were probably on a slab.
Yeah.
And then they moved. I don't know where they moved them to. I didn't look into it. But
also, like a lot of other countries, they move bodies like we don't, like we in the United States, a lot of times it's like, oh, we put them in the ground, we're done.
Rush. We're like, get it over with. Don't want to think about it.
And it's like we don't really move people a lot of the time after that, too. Mm-hmm. But like a lot of other places, like that's pretty common, especially during that time, I assume, if like you're a really important person and they're like, ooh, we can't bury them in the scoobity bop bop place, so we got to leave them in the other guy. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm sure that, I don't know what level of decay.
Yeah.
That could be, if they waited long enough, could just be a bag of bones.
Oh.
But again, if they're saints, not supposed to be a bag of bones.
I didn't even think about that they could have just...
They could have just waited like a couple years.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like you just have the bones.
Yeah.
Instead of like, and I know like for plague victims, they used to like burn them. You could also do that because you'll still have bones. It's, unless you have like a crematorium.
Yeah, you're not going to get that
which
dust.
They definitely did not, so.
Speaking of crematoriums, have you seen the recently released photos of human ashes that look like galaxy photos?
No, but that sounds amazing.
I'll show you when we wrap up. They're like really beautiful.
Haha. I want to see these.
They're
I'm
really
excited.
Cool.
I get a treat.
Yeah.
I get a treat after this.
It's our reward.
Little party.
It's like a reward. Okay.
Our next saint that I'd like to talk about is Saint Dymphna.
I'm so excited. I've been waiting.
Saint Dymphna is a G, y'all. I'm not even joking. I want to get a Saint Dymphna medallion, and I want to get like a little candle for her. She was cool.
Hell yeah.
She's the patron saint of the mentally and emotionally ill.
Oh.
As well as other nervous disorders and those affected by incest, which we'll get to in a minute.
Yikes.
But, like, I definitely was like, oh, that's really cool. I didn't know there's a saint that's, like, she's specifically often associated with, like, anxiety and depression and just other mental illnesses that are, like, you know, kind of, I feel like not so much talked about in a lot of church spaces.
True.
So I thought it was pretty cool. She was born in Ireland in the 7th century to a devout pagan warlord king named Damon, and a devout Christian mother who was, in like all accounts, they're like, her father was a nasty pagan warlord and her mother was a beautiful queen. So, you know, maybe there's a little bit of bias.
Work out?
Well, and apparently they were like madly in love. They like loved each other so much. They were like...
Valentine got to him.
They were like, yeah, Valentine got to him. They were literally Henry McHenry and Anne in Annette without the ending. And, like, they just did not go together.
Yeah.
But when she was 14, her mom, like, her whole life was like, hey, come to church with me, let's go pray. Even though her dad was like, no, stop it. But she went with her mother, and when she was 14, she consecrated herself to Christ and took a vow of chastity. And then, like, there's a really muddy timeline here because it was, like, the 7th century.
Yeah.
But basically, her mom dies, like, pretty close after that. Like, she becomes a Christian, and then her mom's like, goodbye. And
I fulfilled my purpose. I can leave now.
My child is now a Christian. Goodbye. It seems like probably of illness because the father was so upset, like so just absolutely distraught that he lost his mind. Oh. Like went insane. And was like couldn't like eat, sleep, would go into like fits of rage, would be in like weeks of silence, and his like kingsmen were like, hey, maybe you should like remarry. Maybe that'll like make you feel better, dude. And he was like, good idea, but I will only remarry if you find a woman that looks exactly like my other wife, because I miss her so much, I will not marry anyone else.
Oh, no.
And so they go on, like, I read a thing that said they went on several months long journey, but with the timeline of this, that just can't be true. Yeah. They searched, like, far and wide, though, for a woman that looked like his wife, and he was like, no to all of them. He was like, not enough. And either out of evil intentions or out of just like being sick of his shit, his kingsmen were like, hey, what if you marry your daughter? No. And he was like, no. And then they like came back to him like a week later and they're like, hey, still no women who look like your wife, what about your daughter? And he was like, yeah, that sounds like a good plan. That sounds like a great plan for me. And so then before he could even ask Dimphna to marry him, she heard the plan and was like talking to her Catholic priest and was like, yo dog, we got a jet. I am not marrying my dad.
Yeah,
that's big nasty.
That's the appropriate reaction.
And I think her dad like confronted her before she left and was like, hey, I'm gonna marry you. And she was like, no, dad. Wait, this is Ireland. No, dad, I'm not gonna marry you.
No, dad.
And he was like, yes, you're gonna marry me, girl. I'm Scottish over here. Just pretend like that was an Irish accent. But anyway, she flees with her priest. And they go to a place in what's present-day Belgium. Uh-huh. And there she builds a hospital because, like, she took some of her dad's money.
Good for her.
Because she's, like, a princess. She takes some money. She starts a hospital. And she started treating, like, the ill people of the town, like, both, like, physical illness and, like, mental illness. Like, a lot of people were like, yeah, I felt big, crazy town anxious, and now I feel calm. Like, thank you.
I had the big sad.
Yeah, I had the big sad, and now I enjoy my life. And she was so good at it that basically word got back to Ireland that, like, hey, there's this, like, girl healing people. No. And, well, some people say it's like they tracked her because the coins. I'm sorry, how? It's not like a credit card. They were like, ooh, I heard one person used an Irish coin in Belgium. Like, is that really how, like, low circulation that was?
Did it say her father's name
it's like,
on the
coin? Yeah,
coin?
it says Damon on the coin. It's like, property of Damon. But anyway, so
I'm listening to this and I'm so like hopeful and I know how it's gonna end because she's a saint now and I'm like, no.
So yeah. So she's there doing the Lord's work, literally. Healing people, having a great time. And then her dad hears about it and he's pissed. Yeah. He's angry. And he shows up and he orders the priest to what do we want to guess? What does he order? Beheading. He orders him to be beheaded and they behead him. Like his men, and
how did he have power in Belgium?
Well, he like brings his like his
he
homies.
Just brought the army.
Yeah, he in like the depiction that I hi guys, I read about this in several different articles, but then I also watched a children's animation of this story because I was like, how would they tell this story to children? Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, how do you tell this to like a group of like 7-year-olds? Like, without explaining what incest is.
Oh my gosh.
But like they still said incest. They also like talked about virginity in it. And I was like, this is for like a 7-year-old child who does not know what virginity is yet. But now you're gonna have to tell him. Whatever. So in like a lot of depictions though, in that little animation and also in some paintings of it, he has like his like crew, which is like 7 men. But like they show up to this village and like I think the villagers are kinda like, not really my pig, not really my farm.
Yeah.
You know, like, we vibe with Dimphna, but we're not really trying to
We're not trying to all die.
Yeah, we're not trying to get our necks, like, chopped. So, he has the guy killed, And then he basically is like, Dymphna, you're coming back to the castle and you're getting married to me. And she's like, no, I'm not. And he was like, well, then I'm going to kill you. And she was like, then kill me then. And he was like, no. In a rage, took out his own sword and cut his own daughter's head off.
Oh!
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh, no!
And, okay, so timeline-wise, her mom dies when she's 14, right?
Yeah.
By the time she died, she was 15. So all of this crazy stuff of her dad going banana news and them finding the women and him rejecting them and her moving and starting a hospital and curing all these people, that happened in the space of a year.
Gosh.
That's, like, insane. Also, like, what a shitty birthday present both years. Like, your mom dies one year and then you get beheaded the next year. Happy quinceañera. Lose your head.
Man.
But yeah, so she was cool though, in her life. And actually, I'll get to like part of the special thing of the area when I talk about her holiday. In some of her depictions, she's depicted like in several different ways. I showed you earlier some of her paintings, and she looks like a full-grown like 30-year-old woman.
She looks like she's in her like mid to late 30s.
Yeah, and it's like no, she was like a whole child.
Oh my.
A whole child who was like, I'm gonna cure the sick and I will not marry my father.
And they're like, we're gonna paint her like she's almost 40.
Yeah, and like it's just, I think that's a little bit reductive.
Yeah.
Because she did a lot of...
She's a kid.
And she did like cool stuff as a kid. Like she, morally in the story, like she stood the high ground.
Yeah.
You know? And that's cool. But also in some of her depictions, there's one where she has a sword and she has it to the neck of a demon in the painting.
Oh.
And so they have said like she in the afterlife is a demon slayer.
Yo!
And, like, I'm sorry, that's so cool.
I just yelled into the microphone.
Why is that not on my TV right now?
That would be, like, a
Dymphna
really cool...
the Demon Slayer?
Yeah.
I want to play that. Hollywood, watch out.
Oh, that would be really cool.
She's just slaying demons.
And there'd be a way to do it that it's, like, respectful to the original, like, story. Oh,
like, how cool.
That.
You know? Anyway, but so she has a feast. Dymphna has a feast.
Yes.
It was really hard to find details about like what actually goes down on the feast, but
it is quite difficult.
It was first celebrated in the 13th century in Belgium, which I don't know if anyone has caught on, but all of these holidays happen like several centuries after the person has died. It was first celebrated in 13th century Belgium on May 15th. The reason that it's on this day is because during that day in the 13th century, they happened upon a cave in this town where she supposedly died. And there was an unknown man and a young woman's remains found in the cave, and in front of the woman's remains there was a stone that had the name Dymphna carved onto it. Crazy, right?
Whoa.
And so they believed that that was where they had buried her body afterwards, because like, in a lot of these tales, I left it out of Saint Valentine and of Dymphna's, but someone comes in and takes their body and like buries it on like consecrated ground or like in a cave somewhere, you know, safe. And someone had taken their bodies and buried them in a good Christian burial. Mm-hmm. And so when they found this cave, they were like, oh my gosh, the soil probably has like healing properties. Mm-hmm. So people would go and sleep in the cave and would like report their anxiety being gone, or like, you know, different mental illnesses showing up and being much
like alleviated,
alleviated or much more mild. Mm-hmm. Or, you know, and actually in the modern town where it is, they have a lot of... They're one of the, like, forefront in, like, mental health and stuff like that. There's a mental health hospital there now built, which is, like, really cool.
I love that so much.
Also in, people will make pilgrimages to the town for May 15th.
Yeah.
Who are specifically affected by mental disorders. Mm-hmm. Back in the day, I don't know how it is now, obviously, but I would assume it's still the same way. Mm-hmm. But, like, when people started doing this, since the discovery of the bodies, it said that, like, they are supposed to be treated as boarders and not patients. Like, as people who are just staying in the town, and to be treated as useful members of society, and that because they have, like, mental illness doesn't make them any less of, like, a good person. And, yeah, I just, like, it was so beautiful, because, like, reading about this town's, like, tradition of, like, accepting the mentally ill and being, like, come here to, like, heal. As opposed to, like,
happy.
A lot of countries, like the U.S., that are, like, hide.
Yeah.
Hide your mental
illness.
illness.
It's not real.
Or, like, go live on the street because we can't afford to treat you, or you can't treat yourself or whatever. Also, they have a parade there on that day, from what it looks like. And then apparently the feast food is steak and fries. Like, they eat, like, steak. I don't know why they eat this, but I read on a blog that it was, like, what you eat on St. Dymphna's feast day. Steak and lots of chips, but, like, it was fries, you know.
I'm a big potato person.
But it looked pretty yummy. So, I don't know. I think Saint Dymphna is, like, going down in my book as, like, a cool...
I really like her, yeah.
Yeah, she's pretty cool. In 15 years, she did some cool stuff. God. Really, in that last year, she got a lot of stuff done. But, yeah, what a gal. What a lass.
I want to go to that cave.
Yeah, I think now where the cave used to be is where the mental hospital is.
Okay.
I believe that's, like, the lore.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that. Like,
no, that's fair.
And I think the town, I don't know if it's a different name now, but I believe it's pronounced Giel? Mm-hmm. Giel, Belgium? But I mostly was looking into Dymphna, not so much the town. And then her feast. So, yeah, I just thought that was really nifty and cool, especially with all the stigma around mental illness, having, like, a saint that's like, no, it's...
Yeah.
You just...
It's okay.
Yeah, it's all right. I will heal you. Do not be afraid. Yeah, it was really pretty. Well,
the next thing's a bit darker.
Yay.
Moving on to St. Lawrence. Lawrence is the patron saint of cooks, which is a bit rude.
Oh, no. I think I know who this guy is.
We'll get to that later. Cooks, school children, poor people, and comedians, among a lot of other things. But those were like the top ones, and also the ones that seemed to not fit the most together.
Yeah.
I did find a miracle that was recorded for St. Lawrence. There were a number of workmen who were rebuilding one of the churches that had either burned or... I don't think it was, like, desecrated. I think it had burned down. And they'd run out of food, and St. Lawrence was trying to figure out a way to feed them, and he found a loaf of bread, and then it said that he was able to feed the workmen from that one loaf of bread for a total of 10 days.
Not to be like that guy, but, like, watch out, Jesus, he's coming for your brand. I don't know, man. Maybe he's not. Okay, maybe that's not, like, what...
I would like to think that in some way, shape, or form, Jesus showed up and was like, the bread thing, here, you can do it too.
Oh, that would be nice.
Not to be reductionist of Jesus' miracles, but, like, just sort of, like, being like,
it would be cool
here.
if Jesus was, like, pass the gauntlet.
Yeah.
You do the bread trick now.
The bread trick.
You do the bread thing. Well, because it would be... I just think it would be humorous.
Also 10 days.
I just think it would be humorous if he was, like, Jesus was a little bit miffed. But Jesus wouldn't be, because he's Jesus.
Yeah.
But, like...
He'd be like, yes, this is exactly...
If he was any other human, though... If he was not God's son,
yeah,
he would probably be like, that's my thing, bro. Get your own miracle.
When Jesus is a millennial.
Oh my gosh. Why? He can be a character in Dymphna the Demon Slayer. Millennial Jesus sounds like a really cool band name.
So St. Lawrence was a deacon, one of the 7 under Pope Sixtus II who were martyred during the persecution led by Valerian, the Roman emperor, in 258 CE.
I recognize that name.
Yeah. I researched that, and I literally stared at that name, and I was like, is everything that's, like, really cool sounding just recycled from history? And the answer is probably yes.
Gothicus? Are you kidding me? Claude II Gothicus? Mm-hmm. I'm naming my second-born son Gothicus.
Mm-hmm. Do it.
I like that was so specific. My second-born
son. Your second one.
Yeah.
Your first one's Pigeon.
Yeah, my first child's name is Pigeon. Sorry. Sorry about you.
Pigeon and Gothicus.
I'm sorry, that sounds like a cool crime-fighting duo.
It does.
Wow, my kids are gonna be cool. Anyway, everyone watch out for my kids in a few years. But yeah, Valerian? Valerian and Gothicus walk into a bar. What you gonna do? Probably hide.
Raise some dragons.
Well, also probably hide, because both of them killed a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Roman emperors who were
Valerian
little mean.
was very much
little angy.
Active in the persecution and execution of Christians.
Nice. Well, not nice. Ooh.
Days before St. Lawrence was targeted, Sixtus II was beheaded, and prior to him being beheaded, in the article that I was reading, they phrased it in a way that he sought to comfort the young deacon by saying, don't worry, in 3 days they'll come for you too.
Oh my gosh.
Could you imagine your mentor being like, hey man, they're going to kill me, and then in 3 days, I'll see you.
Maybe he was trying to be like nice, like we'll hang out in heaven.
I'll wait for you by the pearly gates.
Yeah, we'll have a good time. Hopefully they don't decanonize us.
I will say though, St. Lawrence had a pretty good attitude about the whole thing.
Okay, that's pretty good.
So as a deacon, one of his responsibilities, and from what I saw, specifically his primary responsibility, was being responsible for the material goods of the church. And at some point, the prefect of Rome, which I also stared at that word because I was like, prefects, like from Harry Potter? Because I've not heard it in like systems of governments, but it's a thing. It's similar to a magistrate. That would be the closest like description, which is like sort of similar to a local judge rather than like a... She's eating the strawberries out of the drink.
Sorry, I'm scared I'm gonna be like...
Go for it, man. He decided, this prefect, I could not find his name. I'm sure it is somewhere, but in the resources that I was looking at, he was not named. He decided that he wanted the goods that were stored in the church, and Lawrence was like, no. And he instead gave them to the poor as alms. And
okay, that's cool. That's right? Baller.
This is what he said when he did it too. Behold, in these poor persons, the treasures which I promised to show you, to which I will add pearls and precious stones, those widows and consecrated virgins, which are the church's crown.
Dang.
And this pissed the prefect off.
Yeah.
And said prefect ordered him to be cooked alive.
No.
So they prepared a giant grill and basically just held him down. And that's what's depicted in the paintings.
Woof.
And then his statues, he's depicted holding what looks like a grill hood.
Oh, no, man.
Yeah. But this is where he got his association with grills. And then because burning is a slow death.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen quickly.
Especially
later
like
on,
that kind.
No, like it wasn't even like it wasn't like a person-sized grill. Like they had to like move him around. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's horrifying.
It's not ideal.
No.
He was taking it really well. After burning for some time, it is recorded that he stated saying, "Well done on this side, turn me over."
That's so which is metal.
Why he's associated with comedians. Because he was like quite jovial and sort of just like, oh, well, I'm being burned alive.
Dang.
I can't imagine being cooked. He was slowly cooked to death.
Wow. Also, how do you be the grill master and that the person you're grilling alive says that to you? How do you not just like walk away?
I would be like, you know what? I'm going to retire.
Yeah, like
I think I'm going to move countries.
How do you not like...
How do you mentally recover from doing that?
Yeah. Also, just like... to have him have such a witty response, I think I would be like, wow, that's terrifying.
I think I would look at the prefect and be like, hey, man, maybe we just stop.
Yeah, maybe we are going to hell. You know? Like, that's
clearly it doesn't seem like it's painful, so...
Yeah. Or like, maybe it is painful and he's just like, he's real strong.
I can't...
Oh, wow.
I wonder if maybe he had like a...
Did they like milk a poppy him? Give him a drug.
I don't know, but I'm wondering if maybe he had some kind of like either disorder or condition where he didn't, because some people just don't feel temperature.
Oh,
like high or very low temperatures.
Also, so your nerves on your body when you're being burned at certain temperatures.
We talked about this recently.
they talking about if you got burned alive. They burn off after a certain amount of time, and if it's really hot, it's 15 seconds. So theoretically, after 15 seconds, he might just be like, okay.
Could you imagine smelling yourself, though? Like cooking?
Yeah. It is a meat.
It is.
So it could emit a smell that our brains is like, smells nice. Crazy to think about.
I'm also super biased because, like, meat kind of freaks me out in general.
Talking to the vegan here about meat consumption. So which organ would you most like to eat, vegan?
Honestly, if someone was like, you have to eat an organ, I would prefer to eat a heart. It doesn't look like it would be tasty, but I enjoy the symbology of it.
But yeah, hearts are grody. They got a lot of pockets in them.
They do.
They're not like good meat. If I'm eating an organ, if I'm eating an organ, I'm eating a liver. You fry them bad boys up, they're yummy. Wait, livers are so good, dude.
Oh, yeah. I guess you could eat that part. That makes sense.
Yeah.
We went on quite the rant.
Anyway, so cannibalism, huh?
So he got slowly cooked to death.
Woof.
His feast is observed on the 10th of August. I couldn't really find much else about that.
What do they eat? Do they have a grill party?
I hope they don't grill anything.
They probably... but, like, they probably did.
They probably do.
Like, oof. Ooh. Do you think... Okay, so you think... I'll get into this with my next saint, though. Like, what would your ideal holiday be for this guy?
I would honestly, like, since he's also the patron saint of comedians, I think it'd be cool if there was maybe not an open mic festival, but some kind of like
grill festival,
comedy show festival where you have comedians from different places and backgrounds, and they come in and do their bits, and then like as a part of the show they also bring a traditional dish from where they're from.
That would be cute.
And you sort of like everyone gets to just like laugh at some funny jokes and then also be exposed to some different foods that they might not be aware of or used to eating.
I feel like it'd be cool if you did like a little tithe with it too, you know.
A little what?
A little tithe, like you give like 10% of your thing, but not to the church. You give it to poor people because he was like there for the.
Yes, he was like, I'm gonna give this cool stuff to these people who have nothing, and not to the prefect of Rome who has a lot of things. Yeah. Because he's a member of the government.
Yeah. No, I think that would be cool.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing August 10th.
We could, yeah. That would be a really fun thing, actually.
That'd be cool. We're just gonna have all these like venerated saint days.
Yeah.
The Catholic Church is gonna be like, what is this? What is this actually?
Like we're just
vibing, man.
Trying to honor their memory.
Yeah, that's cool though. Moving on to my last saint.
Yes.
And more. There's not very much about this guy. So I'm gonna talk about like what I think the holiday should be.
Yes.
I'm gonna poke fun at this dude because I'll explain why. But so.
Oh.
His name is Saint Cassian.
Yes.
And he's the patron saint of school teachers, shorthand writers, and parish clerks.
Shorthand writers?
I think they mean like people who write in
in shorthand?
Yeah.
Okay. But I was like he can't mean like people who write in a small font.
They just only use 9 point Times New Roman.
Like people who record stuff at like meetings, like council meetings and like
secretaries.
Like because like a lot of that is in
Clerks,
shorthand just for like purposes of keeping up with everything.
That's fair.
And like in the courtroom, what's the person, the stenographer?
Yeah.
It's not really shorthand anymore. Now they got buttons that you just press and there's 7 sentences. It's mind-boggling to watch those people use those things. I got to show you a clip of it later.
Wow, that's what I'm watching.
That and then the human dust that looks like
human dust. Human dust.
The human ashes that look like galaxies, and then
that is kind of human dust. So yeah.
Yeah. Dust, Lyra.
It's dust.
What you know about dust, Lyra?
Watch His Dark Materials season 3.
Please. Oh my gosh.
Watch all of the seasons first, actually. All 2.
Just hopping blind to season 3.
Yeah. See what happens. Anyway, Saint Cassian, this guy. So he was from Imola, Italy, and he was murdered in 363 by children.
Sorry for laughing.
No, laugh at him. Okay, the reason I feel like we can take a little bit of...
Take the piss a little?
Yeah, take the piss with this guy a little bit. Is he basically was a teacher in this, like, pagan area, and they were like, hey, you need to sacrifice to the gods today, and he was like, no. Mm-hmm. And they were like, do it, or else. And he was like, no. Also, I'm going to talk about Christianity. Mm-hmm. And so they were like, okay, well, then we're going to punish you. And so they basically told his class, like, kill him. And, like, you would think, I read a bunch of articles that were like, you would think if he was a good teacher, they would be like, no.
Yeah.
No, we're not going to do that.
Maybe not.
Or at least, like, they would fight against it. Apparently,
or they'd, like, rob him or something.
Yeah, apparently they, like, gladly, they excitedly.
Oh, so this guy was an asshole.
Yeah, they excitedly were like, yes, let's kill him.
Did it say who the sacrifices were for?
No, it just said, like, he wouldn't sacrifice to the gods and renounce Christianity. But anyway, so
I wonder if it was Jupiter.
That's such a good name. So my 3 children are Pigeon, what was the second
Gothicus.
Pigeon, Gothicus, and Jupiter walk into a bar.
And they start a metal band.
Yeah, and I'm there as their stage mom to support them.
I'm in charge of marketing.
Yeah. Okay. So he was probably not that good of a teacher because they were like gung-ho, like, yeah, let's get him. So what they did...
You gotta be a real asshole for children to want to kill you.
They didn't give the children the weapons. Basically, they literally told them, they said, kill him, and they were like,
we'll improvise.
They were like, what do you mean? How are we gonna kill him? And they literally killed him with their writing tablets by beating him, and with their pens by making many tiny cuts and holes.
Oh my goodness!
And it was said while he was dying, he was like, yes, stab me harder because I am so eager to die. And like, with this, I
Hello?
Yeah, which I was like, that sounds like okay, this is like two interpretations here for me. If someone says that to me as I'm like stabbing them slowly for like a slow and gruesome death, one, either they're lying, not like lying, they really want to get out of this because it's painful, so they really want to die.
Yeah.
Because they're like, just end this shit already.
Yeah.
Or two, they're like a big asshole. Yeah. And they're like, oh, I'm so eager to die a saint. Haha, send me to sainthood. Like, I'm gonna be canonized, and you guys are just gonna suck, you little pagans. Also, in all of these, like, tales that have paganism in them, they're like, these dirty, horrible, nasty, meanie bobini pagans. And it's like, yeah, okay, I don't know, but okay. I don't know
about all that.
But yeah, so he had a long, excruciating death, and he was conscious for pretty much all of it.
How long do you think it took?
Well, it says it was, like, extremely long, because it's, like, I think his class was, like...
Were they, like, 7?
No, I mean, like, they were, like, 10.
Could you imagine being beaten to death by a group of 10-year-olds as an adult?
Yeah, and also, like, the beating wasn't as bad as, like, the puncturing. The poking.
Oh my gosh.
The pokery.
What? At some point, you have to just dissociate past the point of return.
Past the point of no return. Na, 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 na. No, I mean, yeah, you would, but also... The way that they paint him in, like, the depictions that I could find, like, not paint him physically, but the way that they describe him, is that he was like, yes, finally, my moment has come to be a saint. And that's why I was like, yeah, you probably were a jerk, dude. You probably were, like, trying to piss people off just so they'd kill you so you could be a saint.
Literally.
Also, like, there's not a lot of people who... He's also apparently, like, the patron saint of, like, the town, Imola, and also Mexico City, but I couldn't find why.
Interesting.
Because there's also a lot of other patron saints of Mexico City, but I don't really know why. So sorry if y'all worship this guy, but I could not worship him. You know what I mean? Pray to him.
Yeah.
But I couldn't find, like, a lot of people who do. Yeah, venerate him. He seems like he's kind of a lower rung saint.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll find some new information after this comes out that he's, like, a big dog. But it seems like he's kind of lower on the totem pole.
I'm just thinking about, like, the amount of blunt force trauma to the body.
Just 10-year-olds beating you with a writing tablet and stabbing you with pens. And also, like, how did they... I don't know if they tied him up or if they just, like, ganged up on him. And just, like, what did, like, one of them sit on him and just, like, the rest of them went to town? Because, like, what are you gonna do? You know, did some of them, like, hold his arms and legs? I want to know how this logistically happened.
Also... Not to roast a bunch of 10-year-olds.
But, like, they're 10.
Just hit him in the head a lot. It'd go quicker.
I think they wanted him to die slow, too.
Oh, like, my gosh!
Like, I mean, like, there's so much emphasis on, like, he wanted to die to be a saint.
And they wanted
it to be really slow. They also were, like, really aggressive towards him. Like, he doesn't have a holiday, but I have some ideas that I could propose for holidays we could hold in his honor. So the first one I have is Senior Ditch Day, but it's only for teachers. So, like... All the teachers that teach, like, senior level classes, they just get to, like, not show up for work that day.
We're gonna go to Starbucks.
Yeah, we're gonna all stay home.
Catch a matinee.
Watch His Dark Materials, season 3 only.
Pine over Ruth Wilson.
Yes. Talk about dust. And not get stabbed to death by our students. So that one's, like, in favor of school teachers, okay?
Yes.
The second one is... This one also is in favor of teachers. I don't know why I made it sound like it's not going to be. But, like... There's a day when teachers just get to, like, hit their students.
Oh my gosh.
But, like, it has, like, a limit. Like,
she's gonna haze their students.
Yeah, just, like, they get to, like, smack them. Like,
just in case you want to join a fraternity, here's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, like, smack them, like, in the shoulder, unless, like, they have, like, a sensitive... You know, there's gonna be, like, a lot of forms we're gonna have to fill out. But they get to, like, smack them, open hand, okay? Just, like... do, like, a little bit of damage. Not, like, a lot, though. Just, like, a little bit of mild damage. And, like, you know, just to be like, hey, my patron saint got murdered by students with 1,000 pen cuts. Maybe they get to stab him with one red ballpoint pen. Just one. Just one each student. One stab. You know? Or maybe it's just, like, a hard poke. And since it's red, it'll be symbolic for blood. So maybe that's how we facilitate that. The third one I think is nice. It's a feast for the teachers, put on by the students. But if the teachers get like too big-headed about it, like serve me, little students, then the students get to hit them.
Just put some sock in a soap and whack them.
Well, no, they get like a little like chalkboard or something, like a writing tablet, and they just get to smack them. Like hey, remember, if you step out of line, we will beat you to death with a writing tablet. We'll beat you to death with an Apple tablet and a pen.
How about, we take that idea and I raise you the school board.
Ooh, school board is who needs to be.
Yeah.
No offense to anyone on a school board out there.
I don't know. That remains to be said.
Julia said possible offense.
Some of you are making some piss poor decisions when it comes to the education of our youth, and you're holding information from them that they need to know.
You know what? That's true. Okay, so maybe it's just like people who are like, you get a little test. Okay, they test you. If you've been a good little school board teacher person,
you get the feast.
You get the feast. If you've been a bad one, you get
the chalkboard.
You get the chalkboard to the noggin.
It's a good superintendent, or it gets the chalkboard.
Oh my gosh.
Goodness heavens.
Foof. But yeah, so that's my proposed holidays for St. Cassian. If anyone has some other ideas, I'd love to hear them. I think mine were pretty good.
It's a shame his name is so cool, and he sounded like he was quite possibly an asshole.
Like, also just like, I know how I am and my group mentality with my fellow peers. If somebody was like, hey, we're gonna kill this really cool teacher, everyone would be like, no. Don't. What are you gonna do? No. Kill all us 10-year-olds? They'd be like, we're gonna ground you guys and we'll kill him anyway. Like, you know, they wouldn't have made the kids kill him if they didn't want to. Yeah. But they wanted to. They wanted to kill him. Slow and painfully.
And like, so they're beating this guy to death.
Yeah, and
you know at some point an adult walked past.
No, the adults were like all around like, kill him.
They were watching?
Yes.
What in the hell?
What happened was the adults were like, we're mad at you, dude. And he was like, yeah, I know. What you gonna do about it? And they were like, we're gonna kill you. And he's like, great, go for it. And then they were like, students, kill your teacher. And they were like, okay. That's how it happened.
I would like to imagine that this happens and then he passes, and then prior to him getting to his destination, he comes across Jupiter, who's like, maybe you guys should have just had a conversation. Yeah. And then he's like, what the fuck, you're real? And then he goes on to his destination, and Jupiter's like, you know,
for the rest of his canonization, he's just like really like deep in thought. He's really like, confused.
Okay, I've thought about some things. Okay, interesting.
What if he's just like, it was another saint. He's not really a god.
That sounds about.
Doesn't have the energy that this man would have. Also, like, I'm sorry, if like the qualification for being sainted is like dying for your religion, you gotta know that there's gonna be some like assholes in there.
Yeah, this guy.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not be a good person and die for the religion. It's just like, be a martyr.
Dymphna's doing
the most.
She's doing the Lord's 14. Work. And this guy shows up, and she's like, yeah, I would fucking beat you too.
Yeah,
what the hell?
Yeah. Woof, dude. Oh, man. But yeah, so Cassian kind of seems like not a cool guy. Change my mind. I don't think you can.
I don't know.
And maybe, like, again, I do, you know, I open myself to the possibility and maybe I missed some information, but I read some articles about it. Yeah. I read several.
I'm trying to think of, like, the context of the time. He was very much coming into a space with, like, my beliefs are better than yours, and this is your space.
Yeah. Also, like, it would be also, like, akin to a teacher. It seemed like with the way that their society worked, it was kind of like, yes, they have, like, a, non-secular environment where they still talk about religion in class, but, like, not to the extent of, like, I'm gonna teach you how to Dougie, you know? Like, not to the extent of, like, I'm gonna teach you specific things. It was kind of just like, oh, okay, on these religious holidays, we still go to school and we do it at school.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it seemed like versus, like, going to, like, a religious school.
Yeah.
Because, like, the whole society was all of one religion, excluding, like, a couple of people.
Yeah.
Which, you know, that can suck. Yeah, I don't know. Cassian rubs me the wrong way. There's something going on there. I just can't imagine a group of children if they really like their... he couldn't have just been teaching them math and they were like, this sucks, let's kill him. Like, kids have a little bit more, like, ethics than that, I believe. I wholeheartedly believe children are not just, like, evil.
No. And what are the odds of him having every single school bully in the class at the same time, right? Like, even if that was it, like, that's astronomical.
Yeah, like, they were, like, it literally in the story is basically, like, the kids were like, yeah, finally.
That's, wow. This is one of those times where I wish I could, like, visually time travel.
Yeah, just watch it happen.
I need more context.
Also, like, oh, man, what a gruesome death. But, like, also the way that they depict him being like, yeah, I'm eager to die. Stab me harder. Like, it sounds really
I wonder if maybe
nasty.
That was him trying to, like, either incite or invoke the parents to do something because he knew it would end faster.
Yeah, like, part of me is like, he's trying to end it faster. Because, like, if they do stab him harder, like, maybe they'll kill him. But, like,
they'll hit a main artery.
They'll finally hit the liver.
Goodness gracious.
They'll hit the good organs that taste yummy.
Yeah.
No, I don't know what that's about.
I don't either, man.
So, I don't know. Maybe I got them all wrong, but I think Cassian was a dick. Cassian seemed like a booty hole.
Goodness heavens. All right. Well, we got one more.
Ooh, we got the last chocolate in the box.
We got and...
Is this a dark one?
It's an interesting one. I'm a fan of the art that has been done of this gentleman. Mm-hmm. It's an unfortunate thing that happened to him.
Woof.
So I'm going to talk about Saint Bartholomew, who is also known as Nathaniel Bar Tolmai.
That's a cool name.
I did see in my research they're not, like, concrete in stone that Nathaniel Bartolomai and St. Bartholomew are the same person, but there's enough written evidence to suggest that they are. St. Bartholomew is the patron saint of tanners, tailors, leather workers, and butchers, among others.
Oh, no, I know where this is going, then.
Bartholomew was one of the 12 apostles of Jesus, which is an interesting... His start into that job description is interesting because upon hearing of the birthplace of the Christian Savior... Philip basically showed up one day and was, like, talking about Jesus coming to town, and Bartholomew stated in a not nice way, what good can come from Nazareth?
Ooh, he's a Nazareth hater.
So, as this discussion was happening, Philip and Bartholomew were having this discussion underneath a fig tree. And then when Bartholomew then met Jesus later, Jesus said to him, I've seen you under the fig tree.
Whoa, Jesus was watching.
So Bartholomew was like, you know what? Maybe they're onto something with this person from Nazareth being the savior. Maybe I should follow him. So
Jesus was just, like, on a hill, though. Like, just overlooking this. He thinks he has, like, the sixth sense, but he's just, like, overlooking them on a hill.
Like, Philip's like, he's actually around the corner.
Yeah. He was just watching.
The timeline as to when this conversation happened and then him meeting Jesus happened was
like a big
vague.
jump.
It was either close together or not close together. It was not stated. I think the person who was researching this initially, who wrote the articles that I was using as sources, was more just like, he kind of was a dick about where Jesus was from, and then Jesus was like, I heard that. Which I'm a fan of.
Yeah, no, that's cool. As Jesus should.
So Bartholomew decided to follow Jesus and became one of his apostles. Not too much else is known about Bartholomew, and even his manner of death is unclear. It is believed that he died in Armenia during his time teaching the gospel. I wrote this in a sentence. The king of Armenia's name was Astyages, and his brother was talking to Bartholomew, and Bartholomew converted the brother to Christianity, and Astyages was not pleased about this.
Woof.
He was also the last king of the Median Empire. It was debated that Bartholomew was either beheaded, crucified upside down, or skinned alive.
I hope for his sake it was the beheading. This is the one where I'm like, I wish it was a beheading.
Yeah.
Even though all of them have been beheaded.
Most depictions of him are of him flayed.
Oh.
And he is either holding or wearing his skin as a sash.
That's kind of metal, though.
Yeah, there's a really cool statue that's done of him flayed, and you can see, like, his muscle texture and definition and stuff. Like, kind of.
Oh, he's like a titan from.
Yeah.
Okay,
or
I was thinking like a skeleton.
No. Like
I know that you know what I mean.
Like the special effects from like the Boltons from Game of Thrones, without the blood actively seeping out. Like that structure is what the sculpture is.
Wow.
And then he's got his skin draped across him, kind of like it's obviously covering where genitals would have been.
Have you seen like the depictions of like the female on the World Tarot card? That sometimes she has like a sash across her body. Like almost like that?
It's like that.
Okay.
And there's also some where the description underneath this painting was not of the painting, so I'm assuming who was in the painting. It looked to me, based on the art style of the other figures in the painting, that it was other patron saints, and one of them was holding his skin, which was very bizarre to see because you could see his face in it, and he had like facial hair and stuff, and it was just very weird to sort of see like a husk of a mask type thing,
a bag of skin.
And I was like, but where's Bartholomew? Because he's not in this painting, just his skin is. But the statue is very artfully done. Like it's impressive.
Cool. Okay.
And his feast is observed on August 24th in Western Christianity and June 11th in Eastern Christianity. That's really all we have for Bartholomew.
Wow.
But
what a way to go. If that's, ooh, man.
It's like the three things are so vastly different in like pain amounts.
Yeah,
like,
beheading you're over
pretty quick. Crucifixion upside down, couple days.
Yeah.
Flaying.
That's like the...
Goodness heavens,
Gosh. Yeah, no, that's nasty.
Yeah.
Also, like, taking it back, maybe I'd rather be a blood eagle than being flayed, Because, like, that's just, like, pain in a certain area. I feel like your body goes into shock. I mean, maybe your body goes into shock in both cases. But, like, being flayed, I feel like that's so many areas that you have so much pain. That's, like, all the areas, your whole body.
And it would be slow enough that you would not bleed out before tons of skin was ripped off of you. Oh. Especially if they, like... do it right and start at the top of your head.
Oh, nasty. Wow, that's so yucky to think about.
I know.
Hope y'all aren't eating. No chicken skin for you. Yeah, I think that should be his holiday. You go and get fried chicken, and you peel the skin off of it, and you only eat the fried chicken bits. He's in heaven, like, shaking his fist at me.
Yeah.
I was gonna say he's like saying like, frick
he's gonna show
man.
up in your bathroom.
I hope not. Please don't, sir. I apologize for everything I said. You did. He was flaming on Jesus though, so I feel like maybe he could respect somebody flaming on him.
He was kind of a dick about where Jesus was born.
Okay, you know what? If he could insult Jesus, maybe I get to insult him a little bit. I'm not a lot of it, just a little. Okay,
it is interesting. Like he like fully insulted Jesus and then was still able to become a saint.
Yeah.
So well, it's like character growth.
Maybe he like took it back.
Character growth is context that's important.
Yeah, maybe they like shook on it. Yeah, he like grew. They
shook on it.
Yeah, he like spit in his hand and they shook. He was like, "I'll never make fun of Nazareth ever again because you heard me talking about you under a fig tree." Like, and Jesus was like, "All right, man."
Why is he Southern?
I don't know. It just felt like people who spit and shake would have that accent. I don't know.
Fair enough, man.
Anyway, though, flaying is not a good death. But like,
no.
What holiday would you have for
Bartholomew? I don't know. I think it'd be interesting if there was like some kind of system of like a 2-week holiday where each of the apostles has like a day.
Oh, that would be cool.
And maybe instead of like a feast, there's like a theme of like
party theme.
Like
like
community service one day in a specific area. Like
and
one
then
day
you
go to
party afterwards.
Yeah,
yeah.
You have a party. So we implement this. The 2 weeks before Easter.
Oh, that would be so cool.
And then
what
the party ends with Easter.
Yo, church. We've got you covered, man. let us plan your events, dog.
That'd be fun. You know what? Because like, okay, so I grew up in the church, and I never heard of like, I mean, obviously, like I wasn't in a Catholic church, so we didn't do saints, but like, it's just like the apostles weren't really talked about at all.
Yeah.
And it's
they're more like, I feel like it's more focused on
omission.
like the books of the Bible than the apostles,
yeah.
which I think is really strange.
I will also say, because like, Luke was an apostle. Yes.
Luke Skywalker.
Luke was an apostle. Yes. Luke has a book in the Bible. That was never very clearly stated in any sermon that, like, yes, this is the Apostle Luke and this is his book.
Yeah.
It just eventually it either clicked or it didn't, and then you're in middle school and you're like, oh, that's the same person.
Well, okay.
Why was that not?
Also, maybe I'm like really stupid, but isn't it like originally like the apostles are how the Bible gets happening, because they tell the stories and they write the Bible?
That was my understanding, and that's why there's different, like,
there's different interpretations. There's 12 of them.
Yeah. Well,
there's less by the time. There's a couple like fall off the wagon.
The Gospels are the first 4 books of the New Testament, and they're all written by apostles, and it's the same story, but because it's written by 4 different apostles, they're all slightly different.
Yeah. So, like, what the heck? What the heck, man? Why aren't we talking about the apostles? Anyway, holiday-wise, yeah, I like the idea of having the 2-week.
Yeah.
Every day is a new apostle. That would be such a
specifically
cool...
like, you know, like rooted in community service or giving
back
in
some way. Or like kindness, whatever they were like really,
yeah,
you know, cool with. Maybe whatever
for
they
Bartholomew's Day, you have to say something nice to somebody.
Oh my gosh, that would be cool. End cyberbullying on that day. Every year. Just for the one day. We know that we will never end cyberbullying.
He becomes the patron saint of cyberbullying.
What? That would be so good.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Can someone who is currently a saint sort of either adopt or become a figure for a modern day thing?
Well, I mean, like, that's what they did with the earlier guy in the plague, right? Because, like, that wasn't around when he was
that wasn't
alive.
around. So, like, could we...
So, like, he could become the patron saint of COVID.
Yeah, so for people who, like, actively work with the saints and stuff, could, like, I don't know, the system...
I don't either. I'm not really sure on how we add a little thing to their docket. Because, like, in theory, what it is, like, that's something that they are charged with overseeing.
Right. If you work with saints, please let us know.
Yeah. Also, if you work with saints, sorry, we just been pooping all over your stuff today. Hopefully respectfully, but yeah, we've been saying some mess. But
I think it was more presentational.
Yeah, presentational mess. I did call I did call him like an asshole.
But he got beaten by children, though.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like that says its own thing.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
And everyone else, we were, like, Dymphna we're a huge fan of.
I'm a Dymphna stan.
St. Lawrence was giving stuff to poor people.
Yeah, St. Lawrence was cool. I'm still on the fence, I think, about Bartholomew. I like him.
It's just there's so little about him, which is like interesting too, because he's an apostle and there's so little about him.
Yeah, that's weird, right? Like, I think it's just the out the gate, like hearing someone's like, "Ooh, nothing good can come from there."
From Nazareth.
It's like,
yikes.
Maybe like Nazareth was like not a cool place to live though. At the time.
It's true. We don't have the context of.
Also, like maybe it was like a.
It could also be that the person writing the source article that I was using definitely skewed it. Yeah,
maybe he was just like, because he said something totally different.
The quote in it, like, like there's no telling what the actual quote was.
But he never said anything.
He never said anything. But the way the original article phrased it was that he sneered. Nothing good comes from Nazareth. And I was like, I feel like that might be a little bit of author having some licensing here of adding some.
No, he was there. He heard the fig tree. Not cool to be flayed, though.
No.
Blood eagle or flaying? Blood eagle?
Yeah, I feel like it'd be over quicker.
You would think, but you can live like 4 days being a blood eagle.
Oh.
In theory. Impalement or flaying? Like, are you getting flayed or are you getting impaled?
I'd rather get impaled.
Because, like, you can live for also, like, a week being impaled. You can actually starve to death. Or, like, but also, I think it might be less painful, weirdly enough.
Yeah. I'd go for the less painful because I can dissociate like nobody's business.
Like, what you thinking about when you're impaled, you know? Like...
Marcel the Shell with shoes on?
Yeah, that's what you're thinking about.
Because he was like,
my cousin got impaled by a brush.
Oh my gosh, he did. Oh no.
Aren't they making a Marcel the Shell?
Aren't they making
a Marcel the Shell movie?
I hope they are.
I love Jenny Slate.
It's almost had film. Should we record an outro?
We should, yeah.
And then call it good.
I did not eat the strawberries in my drink yet.
I have one left.
Oh, I'm behind.
I have one left.
Oh, I still have juice. We've reached the end of our first episode.
Yes, I hope you learned something new about saints and Valentine's Day, and maybe some new holidays you want to celebrate. Getting inspired.
Yeah, because my understanding of saints is that anybody who feels called to work with them can, correct?
Yeah, because I work with the Saint of Death, so pretty cool holidays with that too.
Yeah.
I should have talked about that.
She needs her own episode.
You know what? That's true.
Because you do work with her, so not to speak for her, but I feel like she would appreciate her own episode.
That's true. Okay, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. Let us know your Valentine's Day plans.
Yes.
I'm probably getting the booster.
Ooh, that's gonna be fun. I'm boosted already.
That's gonna be my treat to myself.
So I'll
stab in the arm.
Very saintly. To, in many ways, for the good of everyone else. Also,
something will be poking
violent.
me on Valentine's Day.
Ooh. Whatever you're doing Valentine's Day, though, stay safe and don't be mean.
Be kind to each other.
Yeah, or kids will beat you to death.
Yeah.
Slowly and painfully, or you'll get flayed. So just be nice.
Also, try and learn something new every day.
Yeah. Learn something new every day.
Even if it's something small. And even if it's about yourself, that still counts.
Yeah. I support that.
Yeah. Get some sunshine.
Get some sunshine. Drink some drinks. Yeah.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening. Come back to the Insomnia Café. We'd love to have you.
If you're listening to this on YouTube, be sure to drop a like if you enjoyed the episode, or a dislike if you did not enjoy the episode. It's either way, it's good for the algorithm.
Yeah.
Drop a comment of anything you'd like us to look into. Spooky happenings that you think would be interesting to hear about. If you're listening to this on a podcast hosting platform, feel free to leave a review. That's good for early podcasts. That helps them get more traction. And make sure you follow us on Instagram.
Yeah, and if you have any friends that you think would find this
Share.
interesting, share it with them. Sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring.
Thanks, y'all. Good night. That's so creepy.
Good night, Night Vale.
Good night, Insomnia Podcast. We're shutting off the lights. We're shutting down the coffee maker. I'm cleaning the counter.
Final call.
Wistfully, as I stare out the window. Julia's turning off the...
I'm tripping over the jukebox.
Julia's tripping over the jukebox and turning off the open sign.
Yes.
And locking the door. And then we leave. And you're still there.
See you in 2 weeks.
Adios.